Oh, I saw the pictures.
All right, hello everybody and welcome. My name is Albert, host of this webinar today of Albert's List. And you're here today for Is It Time to Quit Tech? Discover Other Careers Worth a Look. Tonight's panel is in a panel format, and I'll be the host asking questions. And the story that we're talking about today is one that if you're in Silicon Valley or if you work in tech or you're tech adjacent, that you may all know a little too well. It's the story of layoffs. It's the story of less jobs in the industry. And it's the story of, is it time to go do something else? We've been exploring this question over the last couple of years. It culminated last year with our in-person event in the Presidio, covered by the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Standard, as well as SF Gate. You might have seen us in the media, and we have a couple of folks here who were actually quoted in there too, especially with Sandy McClenahan, who was featured in several articles about her story with Hempui hats. So if you have any questions today, please ask them in the webinar chat. We have some questions that are focused here. And we also invite you to network in the webinar chat and really get to know one another, perhaps collaborate, perhaps start your own tech quitting journey tonight as you figure out what to do next, especially if you have been unemployed for a while or just thinking about something different with all of the different layoffs and just rockiness going on. We're heading into a new year, new presidency. AI and tech does seem to take a more prominent role with everything going on. However, with AI being what it is and the layoffs and so forth, um, I think the rockiness within the industry will continue, and so it's important that we have a really important conversation in figuring out what comes out next. So, the first thing I want to start with here is number one, I want to welcome all the panelists and I want to have everyone sort of get to know you today. So, since we have six people here, three on both sides, at least on the screen sides that I have, I'm going to start from my left with just Natasha. And I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself and what you do now, now that you've left tech, and also talk a little bit about what you were doing when you were in tech.
Thank you, Albert. Hello, everybody, and I am really excited to be here. This is actually my first talk to people in tech after I left, so a
Nice.
little different. So I spent 26 years of my career doing Big Five management consulting and working with executives and being an executive in high tech. I've managed data enablement, AI, digital transformation for Fortune 500 companies, working for Deloitte, Ernst& Young, IBM, all kinds of really innovative places, helping C-suite, or as we call them then, executives to achieve impossible. And being in management consulting, as you'll probably know and seen, is super, super stressful. You travel a lot, you have glamorous life on the outside, but it's 24/7. It's always taking care of somebody, right? And the biggest pattern that I've been seeing for all these years is that all of us were really burned out. And that burnout was real. It started with no energy to do things, no energy for family, feeling unhealthy, being unhealthy, becoming sick. And that had been a very common occurrence, unfortunately, in a lot of places I worked in. And eventually I kind of looked around and I was always wondering, what's next? How do you sustain yourself? And at some point when, like a lot of people, I got laid off. It was a disaster because I've never been not employed, but also at the same time, it was the biggest opportunity of my life to actually do something about my life. I just turned 49, so I'm not young anymore. And at that point, you really feel the difference. You feel the difference in your health. You feel how stress impacts you. You feel how you've missed out on all your family and friends around you because you're always on, you're always busy, you're always in meetings. And being a global, employee, it's always 4 o'clock in the morning meetings with India, 6 o'clock at night meetings with China start, and it's just on and on and on. And with COVID, it's become impossible. It's become where you are expected to be on 24/7, right? And you expect it to be well, and you expect it to be on top of things, super focused and present. Well, anyway, so it got into a point where we all got laid off after 3 months of struggling and sleeping 16 hours a day. It was apparent that I needed to do something, or we all needed to do something. And my personal journey took me to looking for ways to de-stress and kind of shake off all of that high-tech imprint that I've been carrying for years. And as I got into it, I realized how many people don't even know where to go for self-care, how many people don't understand the priorities of self-care, and how many people have dedicated their whole lives to help companies and work for somebody, but then gotten laid off and were lost. We're lost in their personal life, we're lost with their health, and we're kind of broken in a way, right? And so I looked back and all the skills I've learned in tech, all the skills I've learned in managing customers and putting together roadmaps and understanding the markets. I wanted to do something different, and that's how it got me into the wellness. Sorry for such long introduction, but I really want to reach out to all of you and have you look inside and see, understand the value of self-care, because sometimes it's too late, or sometimes it's not enough time left, and the earlier you get into that, the better. So anyways, my journey took me to looking into biohacking. If what's the effective way to actually bring your health back, not to go the route of common medicine, but what are the alternative ways of longevity? What are the ways of healing yourself? What are the ways of feeling like a normal person, quote unquote, feeling energetic, feeling present? And it turned into a little journey that I started about a year ago in our Solimana Wellness Spa, which is a holistic sanctuary where we have a lot of wellness practices, things like saunas and cold plunges that really let you shake off a lot of stress, where you can just come in for 45 minutes and leave as a new person. Floating therapy, which I personally, if you've never heard of that, I personally discovered that about 3 years ago, is the most quickest and amazing way to get back to normality.
I want to hear
to
more about that.
to get back. No, seriously, it's a sensory deprivation where you're not, you exclude from all kinds of stimuli, and you can just be with yourself, and you're in the weightless water, and your body stops hurting, your mental state kind of calms down, your heart calms down, and you become still. That has been probably the most interesting thing I've ever experienced in my life, and the one that actually gotten me away from stress and anxiety that I've been carrying forever. So it's been a really interesting journey. I am happy to share, any information, you want to know how to transition, what it means to start a new industry. But basically, all the skills that you have, all the wonderful and exciting things that you learn, they never go away. You just use them in a different way. And there's so many ways of using it. But if you think about yourself, and if you think how we make all the money in the world up front and then spend all that money on your health later, it's probably not the best proposition. So start early and take care of yourself. Sorry for the long introduction, but I appreciate you guys being here and happy to be part of this.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Sandy.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be here again. Thanks for having me back, Albert. It was great fun to get to be live with some of you when we met. How long? Seems like forever ago, but I'm sure it wasn't that long ago. Um, I spent my entire career basically in tech. I started as a recruiter, and I think that probably should have been my first sign that I was not in the right industry. I had this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed belief when I came out of college going to recruiting that I was going to help people get jobs. And it turns out that's not what recruiting is. I mean, yes, it is, but there's a lot less of that warm and fuzzy. And so I was moved over into HR pretty quickly because I realized I'm much more of a people person. And I moved into payroll, then went to project coordination, project management. And then eventually during the pandemic, I decided that I missed people. And so I moved from a data center team that I was working on and moved into customer success, which is where I spent the last few years of my tech career. Eventually working for a large data analytics company, managing millions of dollars worth of contracts and realizing that this money meant absolutely nothing to the people that I was working with. They didn't want to meet with me. They didn't care what my KPIs were as a customer success manager and didn't really want to waste their time talking to me. But my bonus and all of the things that I was working towards was based on these numbers of having certain numbers of meetings with these people who again didn't want to meet with me, especially the executives. And just 1 week shy of my 1 year anniversary, I was also laid off. And It was a huge shock to the system. Similar to Natasha, I couldn't remember the last time I had been without a job. I had taken a brief break from my tech world once to start my coaching practice, but even then I was working and doing a lot to keep myself going. So to feel the feeling, and I know somebody mentioned they were laid off today. Today is the most Saturday you're ever going to have. That's what the feeling was for me as I got through the tears
Hmm.
and the shock of, going from having a full calendar to having no tabs open and nothing on my calendar. Um, I also had to sleep for an extended period of time, and it took me about 2 months after getting laid off to check in with myself. And I was like, what is this feeling that I'm feeling? Oh, it's my nervous system being regulated for the first time, and I don't know how long. That go, 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 the meetings from morning till night, the checking your email before you go to bed, the last, like, oh, did I remember to do fill in the blank? I better remember to do it tomorrow. Just never being off. Um, it caused a lot of just this never-ending energy just buzzing through my body. And so I'd get to the weekend, I'd crash, I'd get back to the week and do the same thing over and over and over again. Of course, similarly to I'm sure many of you, I was paid very well, and I don't think that I could have seen myself choosing to leave those, cushy handcuffs, the golden handcuffs that I had. But eventually, I decided to give myself some time because I realized that when have I ever had this amount of time to just not be working and to really focus on myself? Similar story to what Natasha was mentioning. And for me, I found myself in a creative space that I'd never been in before. I never had time to sit down and just make stuff. For whatever reason, for me, it ended up being hats. I don't know why. I just found hats to be a fun thing to embellish. I started with a hat and pom-poms, and then it turned into a hat covered in googly eyes, and it turned into a hat covered in rhinestones. Eventually, I decided I wanted to make a hat for somebody. It was a friend of mine. And that's what changed the whole game for me because I went from just putting things onto a hat to really making something, to having an idea in my head and learning how to work through the creative process and how to build something that I felt really proud of. And that was the thing that sort of set me off onto this crazy trajectory that I never would have expected. I made all these hats, and eventually I went to a craft fair and I met there was a hat shop there, and I just started chatting with them, and they were, I was obsessed with their hats. They were like, "Oh my gosh, your hat is so cool." They invited me to their workshop and, after the holidays, and then they hired me pretty straight off of that. I got lucky. I just kind of found my way falling into this new thing. And um, it's sort of just the beginning of my story. I know that it's been sort of the focal point here in Albert's list, the tech worker turns hat maker. And the truth is that it's tough out there for small businesses right now. Humphui Hats, who I work for and I love dearly, they've been around for since 2015, 2016, and it's tough. And so I'm not working full time for them. And, live in San Francisco, so I had to figure some other things out. And because of this creative route that I was in, I ended up meeting a jeweler at a market and she ended up hiring me. So I became a sales rep. And it just kind of expanded from there because I feel like this creative spark inside of me helped me realize that I could be creative with my life, not just with the things that I was making. And so it's kind of just continued to snowball from there. And so now instead of thinking about what is what is my next job going to be, because believe me, I get all kinds of emails about customer success roles and look at this pretty salary and all those things.
Say,
But I realize that I need something more than that, and then just, kind of following the same role that I used to be in and the things that I understood. And so now I have a handful of little small time jobs that I am actually going to be going back into full time work here pretty soon, but not back to tech. I'm going actually into a law firm, which I never would have expected either. But again, it's just been this opportunity to really get creative and to look at my life through a lens of creativity rather than through this lens of doing what I've always done. And just, I want to wrap this up too, but just one more note. I just listened to a podcast recently with Martha Beck, and I don't know if any of you have heard of her before, but she wrote a book recently called Beyond Anxiety. And her thesis is actually that the opposite of anxiety is not actually calm, it's creativity. Because when we get into this space of creativity and we get into a space of flow, we can't actually be anxious. Those two things can't coexist at the same time. And so it's really been my lived experience. I haven't actually read her book. I just listened to this podcast, but it's been a life changer for me to lean into this creativity and to realize that I can do more than this thing that I've always done. And so that's where I'm at now.
Wow, I love it. I think there's an energy of like hope as I listen to you talk, Sandy. I think, right, a lot of us go through tech. It's the fear of layoffs, it's the fear of what happens if we get bought out or what happens with AI. And you sound very like free, I guess is the word that comes to my mind as I think about it.
Thanks. I do feel that.
Yeah. Logan.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. I'm not on my usual setup, so just wanted to make sure this works. Hey, everyone. My name is Logan, CEO and owner of Baron Contracting, construction company, based here in the Bay Area. I started my career working at Oracle, did some time doing sales, and then some time doing data analytics for the marketing team where I met Albert here. Um, Sounds similar to Roberto, but yeah, he was definitely very entertaining. So thanks for that, Albert. Um, yeah, so my transition out of tech was a little interesting. Basically, a family friend of mine who had been recruiting me to try to work for his construction company since I graduated high school. Um, we've been in communication pretty much since I was a little kid. But anyway, after school, after college, was still trying to recruit me, and then at Oracle, basically gave me an offer that I couldn't pass up. So he was going to um, basically put me on a track to take over his company. So that was really the driving force for leaving Oracle. Um, and interesting timing. I mean, this is kind of I guess it's irrelevant, but it was right when COVID hit. So I left in like July of 2020. Um, and so I never got but I guess a lot of people had some nice time working remotely or, maybe traveling and working. I never got that because I left tech at the worst time. But um, anyway, enjoyed going into work in person. I've actually pretty much been in person since then. So totally different lifestyle to consider. And I assume some of these other panelists as well are all in person with their work. So definitely a big lifestyle change if you are considering leaving tech. But you got to expect a commute every day pretty much. And so anyway, started at this company doing starting as an estimator, which is bidding jobs. So just learning about the business, pricing jobs, kind of some salesy side to it, trying to acquire new customers, trying to find new people to bid jobs for. Ended up, quickly becoming a project manager and then overseeing office staff, marketing staff, sales staff, things like that. Before I just decided it was a better path for me to start my own business. So been doing that since late 2023. So we're not a super old company, but definitely have a lot of experienced people on my team, which is great. So it's been a very successful first year and a half or so. Um, it's if anyone's interested in branching off on their own or starting something small. I mean, I was kind of like a solo show for like 2 months, and then um, now we're like a team of four full time. So yeah, would be happy to kind of go over the troubles with starting something on your own with someone. There's obviously a lot to learn. No one, no matter what role you're in, if you're a CEO of a company, starting a company is still a different endeavor. So um, and I assume a lot of people who are leaving tech might be interested in doing something like that. But yep, happy to answer any more questions as we go along. But I think everyone kind of gets the gist.
Awesome. Roberto.
Hey, Albert. Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you all, and I'd love to hear your stories so far. I have my little own story too, yeah. So my story starts way, way back in the days, right? I came to the United States when I was 15 years old. And I've been a hustler ever since I got to the US and nonstop working in any job that presents, to myself. I will do it. I've done the restaurant. I've done, work in the office. As I worked in the restaurant in grocery stores. I've done it all. So I'm used to being a hustler. I graduated college around 2010, was a little older. So I graduated college with the degree of public relations and marketing. And that was at that moment the career I wanted to pursue, and that's what I thought it was my dream career, right? Because we all go into college thinking that we're going to study a career that I'm gonna live doing this all my life. Throughout the rest of my life, I'm gonna be doing that, and that's what's gonna sustain me. That's what's gonna make me happy, right? Yeah, I graduated, and I'm so proud of being a alumni from San Jose State University. And as soon as I finished college, I had so many internships. I met so many people and networked so much that I was able to land really good opportunities while when coming out of college. I started working for Burson Marsteller in San Francisco. It's a big corporation for PR. Um, I lasted about a month because the reality is that it was so tough and it was really tiring for me to have to travel to San Francisco every morning. My shift would start at 8 a.m. I would take the light rail, just because you're out of college, you want to just do it, right? You want to represent, you want to put a good name in your resume. I did that. I lasted, yeah, a little bit over a month until I said, you know what, I cannot do it anymore. I had just had my daughter actually then, so I was already having rough nights, and the commute was terrible. I would leave home at 6. I would wake up at 5 in the morning. I wouldn't come back home until around 8 p.m. So
Mhm.
anyway, so that didn't last too long. After that, I worked at another company that's in PR, LMG PR, back in Sunnyvale, and that was a few years working there and doing also high tech PR. After that, I worked for we worked at Cisco. I was where I worked with Albert. I was there for a few years as well, and then I worked for EMC Corporation. I don't know if you guys were familiar with EMC back in the days. We got bought out by Dell. So during all those times, transitions, there has been a few layoffs, okay, that happened. And that happened within the period of 10 years. Okay, I think I was laid off 3 different times. Um, and it's all because of the system in the tech, how it works, right? You work on a project, the project lasts a year or two. If it doesn't work out, then you need to jump ship, or you need to find another company, or you need to go to another team. And that's I saved myself so many times by doing that from different projects, and I to continue on in each of those companies. But as the economy collapsed and layoffs and all that, I suffered different layoffs and throughout those 10 years. Around 2018 is when I got laid off from Dell, who had recently been bought out. EMC got bought out by Dell. And then I said, you know what? During that time when I got laid off, that one took me a long time to get back on my feet and get another job, because at that point I was fed up. I was tired. The entire application process and resume updating and interview process, it's very draining, especially if you want to if you want to move up from what you had before. If you want to go to work for the Google, for the Apple, or for those high tech companies, um, it's very competitive. And at that time, I feel that I wasn't only competing with local people, I was competing with the entire world, because people were sending a resume to those companies from any other company, right? From all over the world, and there's a lot of good candidates with master's degrees, with doctorate degrees, and people who really stand out, who have done a lot of good things, and they had, so I felt okay. It was about a year, and then I'm like, okay, this has been a year and it's been difficult. I had my daughters already, so I'm like, okay, so this is the situation right now. I Pretty soon I need to start doing something. You start writing down a savings. So, and then you start, you have your family and you're thinking, okay, yeah, I can continue trying this, but at the same time, I can also why not try something new, right? So this opportunity came up where I was able to help out doing the epoxy for this other company, and little did I know is that I picked it up really fast. Um, I I learned the trade, because the trade is relatively simple to learn. And just like any construction, right? Anybody can do the construction. You just need to want to do it, right? And if you want to do it, you also want to do it right, and if you're somebody who gives attention to details, if you're a hustler, then you're gonna make the effort and do it right. So I said, okay, I can do this on my own. Okay, I've been thinking for many years, that I wanted to do something on my own. I never really wanted to always work under someone. The corporate world, um, I already had part of it for a long time, and I was ready to stay away from it. I wasn't too happy with the 5 a.m. calls with India. I wasn't happy with the team being spread all over the U.S. I wasn't happy with working from home every day. In my own personal preference, being home all day at work, doing work, it wasn't for me. I needed to be in the field. I needed to be out. I needed to get out of my house, because it didn't work for me being at home all day, especially if you have children that are young in age, so it gets really noisy, and you can get headaches. But you know, seeing all my situation, and being a hustler that I am, and also wanting to improve myself and work on my own, I decided to open up Epoxy Foxy. I think around 2019 is when I started, so we're going to for 6 years almost. Um, we started, and a year after, COVID hit, just similar to Logan, story. And things changed. But I was lucky enough to have an education from college. I was lucky enough to have been able to experience working on technology. We worked doing communities. We worked in social media. I worked in app development. So I was exposed to a different projects in technology, and I'm highly adaptable. So because of that, I was able to come up with a plan for the business. The website, the social media, everything was created by us in-house. Me and my daughter, my wife also helped me. She has she does graphic design. So she really helped me with that website a lot. And it worked out very good, especially at the time when we hit COVID, because my business, and this is something new for construction, right? Construction is very outdated. It's old fashioned, and still people like to keep it that way. But with my experience in technology and being in the Silicon Valley, I realized that a lot of people who buy epoxy, who get epoxy, their concrete floors, are usually people who are able to afford it. This is a nice to have type of thing in the house. Nobody really needs epoxy, but it's nice to have because it's beautiful, it's nice, it's convenient, right? So I knew what my target audience was, and my audience, my customers, are basically those people who work with me in high tech, those people who were professionals who had some income uh, to spare, and do their epoxy floor. And I learned that through the time that I was working in epoxy as an employee. So I'm like, okay, I kind of understand the audience, the target audience that I will be going after. I know marketing, I know websites, and I can create that on my own. So all that actually worked out, and we were able to put a beautiful website. And the way I spin my company different than the rest is that I realized that with this, people get quotes from all over, and it's really draining, and it's tiring for a lot of people to be going to different websites, knocking doors, and seeing how much you charge me, what process do you do, and all that. I decided, how about if I put all this information in my website, including the pricing, which is shocking for a lot of my fellow epoxy company owners out there. They're like, how dare you put the pricing on your website? but I did. So with the help of I remember my brother-in-law came to visit from Brazil, and he's a developer over there in Brazil. And I asked him, "Hey, can you help me out? Can you help me create like a widget or something on my website where people can look at the price and look at the options we all provide?" And he helped me create a price quote generator. That's what we call it. And so the reason why we created that is because I got pushed to that situation based on the COVID situation we had going on. So people didn't really want to um, be face to face. You know, we're trying to avoid contact, right? So then we what we did is basically the website. We created a type of system. We call it the contactless pricing system, right? So when people go on my website, they see that we are a contactless type of service that we provide. So we don't necessarily need to be on site for you to get the quote, the pricing, and for you to find out what we offer because everything is on our website. All you need to do is just provide us pictures, um, description, and tell us maybe a little bit more what you'd have in mind and your budget, and we can help you get the floor you want. And I also know that my customers, because they're a little more affluent, if you call it like that, they can afford, to buy the epoxy floor. They're they're in the Silicon Valley, they're more willing to try this out. A lot of people are very skeptical. Oh no, I need you to come on site. I need you to see my floor. Then I show them all the reviews we have. We have 5 stars on across the many channels online, and people we try to create trust for us, for our customers. And when they go on our website, they can see all that information that matches what we that come out of our mouth, as salespeople. So for me, it worked out, especially during COVID. That's when we had most of our sales, is when we increased the most. Now we're leveling out, right? But I kept that contactless system and the widget that my brother-in-law created, and it worked out really good. And that's where I feel that all my experience and all the years that I've been working in tech um, taught me, and I was able to be thankful for that. Now, the other day I spoke with someone who told me he was working for. I'm not gonna say because I don't want him to. Well, he told me he worked for a high tech company. Okay, also, and he quit
Hmm.
because he wanted to become a home dad. He wanted to take his kids to their sports. He wanted to take care of the house, and he also was tired of his work. He was an engineer. He told me that he's now really happy of doing what he's doing, and he's pursuing to do what he dreams. And so I asked him, okay, so you have a similar story than I do. So you didn't think that the engineering was the actual career that you wanted to study? Um, and basically he's like, no, I'm still pursuing my dream, and I think I'm gonna find it because now I have the time, now I have the confidence, now my children are older, and I can reinvent myself and try something new. And he was very proud saying that. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, because I have been through that transition before, and it has been difficult. But if you are an adaptable person, if you're somebody who is not close-minded and who is open to other opportunities, happiness is not just what they told you, uh, your parents, that you should go to college and get that career or be an engineer or be a doctor, because that's what's going to make you happy and you're going to be having a great life. No, happiness to me is doing what you love to do, even if it's something you never thought you would do, but you
Mhm.
do it right and you are successful at it. That's when happiness comes. And I think that's what I would like to people who come to this webinar and listen to us, is that you may think that what you did or what you have done so far, it's great, it's wonderful, and indeed it is, but wait until and see what's out there for you. Try new things. And once you start trying new things and you find something that fulfills you, then you're gonna feel what really happiness is, what really is life all about. So I think that that was my what I learned from all this transition. I mean, a lot of people still are surprised and shocked. Like, you worked in high tech and now you do construction.
And
Yes,
you
I
were
did, and I'm very proud of it.
and you're hiring somebody who's got sort of a high-tech background. You were saying how you were looking for a social media person the other day.
Right, right. I'm looking,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I used to do social media for corporations, but I prefer to spend my time making sales and growing the company. So I do need to hire somebody who can do the social media for me. I can be a good guide for this person, but doing the actual work itself takes time and it takes a lot of preparation. And that's
Yeah.
something that I think somebody can do well for us. So
Awesome.
that's what if anybody knows of anyone who's looking for a social media type of gig, let me know. I'd be interested to talk to.
I think you answered like five different questions I was probably going to ask at
Oh
some point
man.
in here, Roberto. So, no, thank you. I love the story. It's fabulous. Jason, thank you for waiting patiently.
Yeah, no worry. It's great to be here. Thanks, Albert, for inviting me. So my name is Jason. I am the owner of the Phở This Way restaurant in Vietnam town, San Jose. So my journey started when I was 18, when I first moved to America. I was a shy guy, just, like a little boy that sit at the corner at every single class. And the reason I chose tech because, I was hoping to get a job after graduate because, technology is better to find a job at that time. So that's why I took my degree in tech, and I was right. I got the first job right after college through connection actually, but it was an easy interview. I just got in an intern, and then after 2 months they converted me into full time. And just like Roberto, I was a hustler. I did a lot of side job as well at that time. So I even joined the U.S. Navy for a few years before I came back and opened my own restaurant. So yeah, just like you guys, I feel burnt out with tech. So that's why cooking is my hobby. So I started the restaurant because of my hobby and because my family has a traditional Vietnamese cooking back in Vietnam. So when my brother-in-law moved to the U.S. And lived with us, with my wife and I, uh, and he was a professional chef in Vietnam, so he and I like decided to open the restaurant together. And yeah, it's just so much. I feel so much better now with the restaurant instead of just working for somebody, because I can just be my own boss. I can be flexible with my tax. There's a lot of deductible and stuff and stuff. Just like W-2, you can really deduct anything. Yeah, so it was a great journey for me as a new immigrant in the US for the last 15 years. So yeah,
Awesome. Wow.
yeah,
So thank you all. Everybody's made their introduction. If this is interesting to you, feel free to ask questions on the webinar chat or the Q&A. Second question, and we're going to start with Jason again, and I think a lot of you may have mentioned what you do with your day to day. If you haven't, feel free to append that to part of your answer here. One thing, that a lot of people think about leaving tech is there's a lot of different challenges, a lot of surprises along the way. Um, in a few brief sentences, I'd love to hear what was the biggest challenge you experienced when you left tech to go pursue something else? And perhaps what was one of the maybe biggest breaths of fresh air that you encountered as well? Jason.
yeah, for sure. The first thing is I was very scared that if I could do it or not. So because opening a restaurant, there's a lot of things that go with it. You have to go to the county to get like a health permit, get like a alcohol license and other thing. You have to know you have to go to the restaurant. You have to find a place, a good place. And you have to inspect the kitchen and other stuff to be according with the code and everything. So I was afraid because I didn't know anything about the paperwork and everything. But for me, because I love technology, and I used to use Google a lot, but now ChatGPT is my everyday friend. So hopefully, and thanks God that we have all the technology that can help me. Google can help me find a lot of things that I could do on my own before I hire somebody that be knowledgeable about the subject to do it for me. So I was able to save a lot by just Googling and did it myself. Um, you know, uh, so after all that first challenges, and when I actually opened the restaurant, I felt really, really great because it was like a big achievement. It's like what people call American dream, because it started as a hobby. Now it's become a business, and something that I don't have to listen to other people to tell me what to do, and I can just make decision by myself. And in fact, that I know that or some of the restaurant around my restaurant, people started as like an online channel. They just sell milk tea, boba, coffee online, and because they did so well, so they were able to open their own boba shop or coffee shop on their own. So my advice to you guys, just start something small, like doing something on the online, and if you think you can scale up, then just go for it. Do something with like at a passive income, and then when you think you're good enough, then you can just expand it, and and you will feel good that way. Yeah.
And actually, since you were going to leave at the top of the hour, I wanted to actually, you were mentioning if you wanted to go into a business for yourself. Can you actually talk a little bit more about that? What are the opportunities would you say are in the food business? And if somebody would want to transition into that industry, what do you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so the food industry, see, before and after COVID, you always need to eat, right? And not everyone can cook. So I think the food industry, as long as you know how to cook, and you can cook well, then you should be good. Yeah, so the lesson that I learned from my restaurant is, you have to have like a good food. That's one. And the second one is you have to have like a good marketing strategy. Because even if your food is good and people don't know about your restaurant, then nobody's gonna come. So you have to hire like a social influencer to come to your plate and eat it, and then post it on Instagram, Facebook. So that very effective. That's what I noticed. And then you have to spend a lot on advertising on Facebook,
Hmm.
Instagram, and other media as well. So yeah. So just those two things. When if you want to go into the food industry, then you need to really learn how know how to cook, and know how to advertise your restaurant.
Wonderful. Cool. Roberto.
Yes. I'm sorry. What was the question? Was it?
The question was
Yeah.
when you transitioned out of tech into what you do now,
Yes.
if you haven't answered the question what you do day to day, answer that for a few sentences. But talk about the biggest surprise, the biggest challenge you had leaving tech, but also the biggest surprise or win or breath of fresh air.
Right. Because I never had really experienced being an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to start. But what I did have experience on is Googling. So, just going and trying to research online and trying to get information, talking to other business owners, looking for resources. That my biggest fear was to fail, to try something, to jump into this transition, such a difficult transition of careers, and fail, because of course, right, you're gonna go all in, right, and you're gonna let everybody know about it, right. My biggest fear was, if this doesn't work out, then it's gonna be difficult for me, especially to accept that, and that it didn't work out in high tech, and now it's not working out in construction. So that was my biggest fear. Luckily, I would say the opposite. I was really successful, and I'm really happy where the things how things have been so far. So that was the biggest fear. What I would do for my day to day is basically work, spend time with my family, my children. Well, I've been working out since last year on a daily basis too. I meditate every so often. I enjoy mostly time with my family because that's who I do things for, right? The Every day I get up and and as cliche as it sounds, right? The reason why I do everything is because of my family, and if I work so much and take the hours off from my family, from spending time with them, when I spend it with them, it's quality time, right? It's time that where I'm going to spend it with my daughter. My daughters play soccer. Foxy Foxy actually is just a major sponsor for their league. So I'm also seeing opportunities in that way. That way I can integrate what I do with what they do also, so they can also feel proud to see our brand on their jerseys, and they can emulate this what I'm doing, for them in the future. That's what I enjoy. I just love seeing my daughters growing up, getting really good at soccer. I really enjoy working with my crew and going to work every day. For me, it's no longer that, oh, I'm dragging off my bed. It's difficult. I have to take the light rail all the way to San Francisco or situations like that, no longer like that. For me, I can plan my day. I can work out in the morning. I can take my phone calls in the afternoon. I can organize myself in any way I prefer. So
Hmm.
that is something that is priceless. It's whatever money you can make, but if you're not doing something that fulfills you that in that way, I think it's a little more difficult to digest. But if you're able to have control, for me, it's very important that having control of what I do on the daily basis, and with my life too, is very important.
Awesome. Logan.
Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
went a
you
little
did.
bit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Awesome. Yeah. Didn't really hit on my day to day, so I'll go into that. My day changes all the time, and sometimes what I think I'm going to do with my day will change, 5 minutes later. Um, so I guess like normal days would be going to job sites, spending a couple hours at maybe various job sites, driving around the Bay Area, making sure things are going well, doing inspections, which like the city comes and inspects the work to make sure it looks good, dealing with subcontractors, maybe picking up materials and bringing them to the job site, spending a lot of time working on my laptop, which sometimes at the job site or sometimes I'll come home and do work there. We don't have a formal office, so even though I started by saying construction people aren't really remote, my company, all my employees are remote,
Mhm.
which is very unique for the industry. Um, and yeah, sometimes I do physical work in the field. So I'll be out doing that. I might be on sales meetings. Sometimes I'll get a call for an emergency, something I didn't go into. Like half of our business is remodeling and what you would imagine is, construction, general construction work. And then the other half of our business is specialty natural gas work. So I deal with a lot of emergencies, gas leaks, things like that. And so, um, I might be at home and then 5 minutes later, I'm driving down to LA to respond to a customer that has an emergency. So my days are crazy all over the map.
Mhm.
Um, when I started, I was probably working um, like 80 to 100 hours a week, probably for the first year. And now I'm in the like 70 to 80 hour a week range, which feels really nice. I'd like to get below 60 soon. And yeah, I mean it's definitely it's definitely a grind, a hustle, having your own business and the construction industry in general. I think people work a lot harder in this industry, I'd say, than in tech. Um, Albert can attest to our old team. I was pretty much first one there at 7 a.m. and then um, my whole team was, and then some of the last to leave, and then I'd be seeing all these other product marketers on our team showing up at like 10, leaving at 2. So totally different lifestyle, but
Coffee
um,
badging. Coffee badging, as they call it these days.
Um, yeah, so my day-to-day changes, and I'll kind of jump into the breath of fresh air portion, but it's really nice to have a day-to-day that is I kind of like chaos and unpredictability, but it's nice to just kind of have random things pop up, get to go outside, spend a lot of my day traveling. I make a lot of phone calls to friends and family when I'm driving, so that's nice. So I just have time away from like thinking really hard at my computer, which I really enjoy and find value in. Um, yeah, the biggest challenge going from tech to construction for me was the culture. I went to a company that had, let's call it a toxic work culture, but even just dealing with people at other companies, it's very different. Just the way people interact with you, the way people will treat strangers in the construction industry. As you can imagine, a lot of people are rough around the edges. But even in an office setting, the culture is just different. And yeah, I think in good and bad ways. Obviously, I think tech is a lot more progressive and treating employees right, treating people right. But I think construction is a lot more diverse. You get a lot of different people with different backgrounds, different beliefs. You get a lot of people that have fundamentally different beliefs that work well together, which is really cool to see. But in construction, I'm just around people that I not typically around in my day to day, at least that I wasn't around when I was in tech. So that was really nice just to kind of saw the world through a different lens once I made that change.
Awesome. Sandy.
Right. Just answering a quick question there in the chat. I think my answer to all three questions might actually be the same. And it echoes a lot of what Logan was just saying, which is really just the variability of one's schedule and how much that can really change the way that you exist in the world. Um, going from being on the clock 24/7, except for occasionally on the weekends when I'd allow myself not to check my inbox previously, my time was really it was all work. It was, from the morning I woke up, it was, my time belonged to somebody else. And I realized that even at night, I didn't feel like I owned my time. And once I moved into, the space that I'm in now, which is having multiple part-time jobs and, working sometimes on the weekends, working events at night, taking, appointments. If, I just mentioned in my, in someone's question in the chat that I do one-on-one custom hat appointments. So I have an appointment randomly here and there every now and again. And so no week is ever the same. No day is ever the same. I kind of tend to look about a week in advance to see what my week is going to look like. And then, I plan in the things that are important to me. I plan in my gym time every week. I know when I'm going to be going to the gym compared to when I'm going to be going to work. I plan in, the activities that I love to do. I'm a dancer, so I go social dancing a lot and I plan those things in. And so I feel as if I'm the one now in control of building my schedule. And even, as I mentioned earlier tonight, I am going to be going into a full-time role. And that role is actually incredibly flexible. So it was really important to me to be able to continue to have that flexibility and to feel like, quite truthfully, like I'm an adult who runs and chooses what happens in my reality instead of having like my corporate overlord saying that you can have these days off and, you can have this amount of days. And if you get sick, well, tough luck and, whatever, all those things. And so that flexibility in the beginning was kind of a shock to the system. Just having all of this time available to myself was a lot that I wasn't used to. And learning how to utilize that time, it took me some time to get my legs under me. But once I did, I realized that it's one of the most rewarding feelings is just to feel as if I am the one in control. I mean, how much control do we ever really have? But at least I get to plan out when I want to be somewhere and where I'm going to go. And, I get asked, from when I work with Hampui, it's like, hey, what day can you come in? As opposed to, hey, we need you here at this time on this day. And that has really just opened my eyes to what it is that's important to me and what types of opportunities do I want to take on. I've been really lucky to not, have a ton of responsibilities. I'm a single person, don't, own a home. I don't, those types of responsibilities have been, I guess, I don't know, kind of fortunate, unfortunate, I suppose. And so that's allowed me to take my time in making my decisions about where my next footing is going to go. And I don't necessarily think that I could ever go back at this point to, being on the 9 to 5 and to knowing that, I've got to be here at this time. And so that flexibility has really been important to me. So it was both the breath of fresh air, and in the beginning, it was actually the challenge because I didn't want to waste all of this time that I had, but I needed to take the time to relax and recover, but I also knew that it was a huge opportunity to learn some new skills and to, see what else is out there. So all of those things really kind of come together and just really allowing me the opportunity to learn more about how I work best and what type of environment I work best in and what types of teams do I work best in and how do I fit into those things. And so I've really kind of opened my eyes from, just kind of putting my head down and sitting at my computer to, what's important from a time perspective, from how I work. Working with my hands has become incredibly important. I mean, realizing that, I can pick up a job that on, one job I'm stitching onto a hat and my other job I learned how to weld. I do permanent jewelry for this jeweler that I work for. And so realizing that I can pick up new skills has really just opened a lot of opportunities and possibilities for me. And that paired with the flexibility has been.
Awesome. Natasha.
I think I agree with Sandy on a lot of this. For me, it was a little different because I have a family, and the whole predictability that you get with a corporate job gets so instilled with you, right? You know how much money you can potentially make. You spend all your life building up and studying and becoming the best out of the best because you've kind of foresaw the future, and all of a sudden that future is no longer there, and it's up to you to manage it. So it is pretty scary. However, it's the most motivational thing you can ever do. It's like pumping adrenaline into you, right? You have to hustle, you have to figure out what to do. I have a lot of flexibility as well, which I've never had before. Although I've always, or lately, I've had before I quit, I've had really high paid executive jobs where I had a lot of say on my schedule and what I did, who I hired. But at the same time, it was a lot of pressure to report to the board, to report to the president. Like, you had a lot of responsibilities that you really didn't have control over. Here, it's me, myself, and I, and the operations, the success is my vision. And when I'm actually helping somebody and I'm seeing the result, it's the most rewarding thing. So as all of you have said before, when you have passion and when you find something that really resonates, you put all of your energy in there, and where energy goes, things happen, right? And so getting you to where you need to universe alliance to give you what you need. And it gets in the point where I really need somebody to come in and do marketing for me. Next thing you know, next client comes in and goes, can we trade? I'm a marketing person. Can you do this? I'll do that for you. So it's fascinating how things get to where you need to do as long as you produce goodness in the world, right? You help people, you solve certain problems. A lot of my clients in our seats, it's the same consulting that I've done before, only it's holistic consulting. It's me helping people get to where they need to go, but it's the same structure, it's the same questions. It's where do you want to go? What's important for you? And feeling and kind of becoming more closer to your customer rather than a corporate thing where it's all about money, it's all about making money for the company, not for you. So it gives me a lot of flexibility to be who I am, to do what I need to do and to be very compassionate. And I think that's something that we really miss in the corporate world. We all complain about the culture, and it's cutthroat everywhere you go, and especially with AI, the number of jobs needed is less and less. And where do you go? What do you do? And nobody teaches you how to survive. And when you become, this corporate slave, as I called myself for many years, it's comfortable, it's predictable, and I'm okay getting up and sleeping 4 hours because I'll sleep when I'm dead. That's what I always would say, right? And unfortunately, it comes very close to feeling that there's something else out there and being fulfilled and really feeling that. And still, it's been a year and I'm still kind of looking around and going, oh my God, I have my own scheduling and I have my own time for myself, although I have no time to do anything. I'm very busy doing this stuff. But just the idea that if I fail, I fail and not somebody else pushes me over the board is super important.
Yeah, no, I mean the independence of it, because Albert's List is my business too. We do paid and free stuff, but the paid aspect and really being able to run your own thing is really great for personal ownership. So I totally agree with that. Well, thank you all for answers on this one. I think it's really great to hear the diversity, but also the similarities in regards to what you discovered when you left tech. The next question I want to ask is one that somebody's actually brought up already in the chat. And I think it's one that everybody also thinks about too, because and Sandy, you've mentioned this a few times with golden handcuffs, right? So we're going to talk about compensation and benefits, which is something that every tech person knows really well as total comp with the money you make plus the bonus plus anything else plus all the fringe benefits that you get during in your role. As you move to tech into your new industries, can you talk a little bit about what it is that you earn in your business? And you don't have to give us an exact number, a round number will work as well. And what are the additional fringe benefits that you get as well, right? I mean, I don't know if any of you have ping pong tables or dry cleaning as a part of what you offer your employees or in your businesses. But if you do, we'd love to hear about those too and what that might look like. So, Natasha, I'll circle back with you here.
So we're talking about wellness spa.
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of ping pong tables here, but we have 11 different services, and all our employees can use them anytime they want to during their breaks, during their time off, for free. They also get, or everybody gets 50% discount on services for friends and family, so you can bring your whole family and do this stuff. And also, I think it's one of the most valuable things that we have is the sharing of knowledge and training and constantly. Yeah, I've finished a lot of certifications to do what I do right now, but it's also been a lifelong lesson to become who I am, the biohacking and all that. So as they come in here, they learn so much, and they learn enough to come out and start something like that themselves, with the coaching, with the hands-on kind of boot camp style exercises or seeing how we do things. As far as compensation, now what I've learned so far is that the first year of any business, you really cannot make a lot of money. If you sustain your operations and you don't go bankrupt, that's good enough, right? But if you actually make money the first year, that's a good trajectory. And this is our first year, actually a year and 2 months that we've had it. We've grown from me managing everything and my partner doing all the design and all the marketing around it to having 5 people working here full time, which I think is fascinating because we pay above minimum wage and we make money not as much as what we made in tech, but it is a trajectory and it is a growing opportunity. And wellness is it's a $20 million industry just this year and 9 trillion globally. So, I mean, it's a very growing industry. And the more people, especially post-COVID, realize that you have to really take care of yourself because there's no infrastructure and there's nothing really there that will hold your hand. People are trying to stay healthy, right? And you want to stay healthy and you want to have options and you want to understand what can you do whenever everything else fails. And it's humongous opportunity. It's opportunity for growth. It's opportunity for education. It's opportunity for building communities. It's speaking opportunities. I've been called to do a lot of talks about that. and kind of introduce the whole concept to. It's very easy to go and sit in a cold plunge for 2 minutes and get rid of all your anxiety. It's much easier than going to say a shrink every single day for months and months. So there's a lot of tricks that's out there, and I think people are getting interested, and it's really fascinating. So to me, the compensation is getting opportunities and really exposing us and helping people.
I love it. I love it. Sandy.
Yeah, I think that there was definitely a huge transition when I left tech, especially when I moved to, to part-time work and to small-time, small business work. I've learned a lot about living inside of my means in many different ways, and I've also learned how to detach my worth and my value from the amount of money that I make. Because I think for a lot of us in tech, that's sometimes a part of our drive is like to keep growing and to keep striving and to get paid more and to, get those bigger bonuses. And it can start to wear on your sense of self. And so for me, it was really important to separate those two and to focus more on what was my internal currency, which was more of this feeling of satisfaction and um, being able to learn so much. I mean, the perks of my roles has been a lot of learning. Like I said, I've learned how to make hats. I have learned how to, solder jewelry. I have learned how to, how to style people, how to, help somebody feel really confident in their own skin by the ways in which they present themselves outwardly. And those have been completely invaluable to me. Albert, you and I have a friend, Anthony, who speaks a lot about
Hmm.
multiple forms of currency. And what that comes down to for me is it kind of reflects something that Natasha said, which is beginning to recognize that currency isn't always just money. We can learn how to grow our skills and then to trade work with other people so that we can get the things that we need when we're not making as much money as we used to make. I've also done a lot of speaking, and I'm a coach, and there's lots of different ways in which I can trade those skills that I have or the skills that I've learned along the way. I've done some consulting with some nonprofits, and being able to take my relationship management skills or my project management skills and apply those in other ways that don't necessarily require me to be a W-2 employee or to pay taxes on the money that I've made, because instead of it being, an exchange of funds, and it's an exchange of services. And it was also, like I said, a huge adjustment to learn into that, to learn into, living in the Silicon Valley without making a Silicon Valley salary anymore. This new role I'm going into is a Texas-based law firm, and I'm actually not even sure what kind of compensation is coming in my direction yet. So I'm still, learning to adjust into those, but it's become really important for me to focus on something other than, the amount of money that I make. And of course, I also have to pay my own bills, and I have to, pay for my rent, and all those things are very important. And I've begun to use that as a bit of a litmus test for what can I accept for work, and what do I need to actually make in order to sustain myself in a way that feels more in alignment with who I am and isn't just, how much am I getting paid. I am, however, also looking forward to having a little bit more of a steady paycheck, because it has been different working, this very up and down, kind of seasonal work that I've been doing. And um, the perks again have been different. I have more, I don't even know how many hats I have in my room right now. Humpui gives me hats all the time to work on. And so those have been some of my biggest perks, other than, jewelry and things of that nature. But it's an adjustment for sure. And it's something that you need to consider when making that change, especially when you have family and responsibilities and bills and all of those things, and beginning to learn how to whittle those things down between what's necessary and what's been something that I've gotten to enjoy a lot because of this inflated salary that I used to make. So it's an adjustment out there. It's different, it's different in most other industries, the kinds of salaries that we're used to seeing. That, I still get the LinkedIn job search, customer success manager emails, which I'm going to turn off here eventually because I just don't want to see them anymore. But that siren call is kind of there a lot, after working for the amount of pay that I've been working. So just know that it's always going to be there, and that, you can always make the decision to, if you quit tech now and later you go back to tech, that's okay. It's okay to make those decisions for yourself. You don't have to make this decision and make it be the permanent decision. I've left tech before. I'm leaving tech again. I truly believe and hope that this is the last time, because I don't really want to go back. But the point of that all being that, you don't have to ever make a decision, and that is the last and final decision. Again, going back to my previous answer, you get to be the one who makes these choices for yourself. And that means that you can also be the one who changes those choices that you've made for yourself. So that's been a huge, huge learning for me.
Awesome. Logan.
So I would say, just from my knowledge of the industry, a lot of smaller construction companies don't really provide their employees with fringe benefits. We provide health insurance, PTO, and holiday pay. Um, in terms of like larger construction companies, I think they get pretty much all the fringe benefits that you expect or that you're familiar with working in the tech industry. Um, in terms of pay, so field workers, they'll make anything from minimum wage to 50 an hour plus. I know people that make like 80, 90 an hour doing construction labor. Um, I guess a common entry level role would be an assistant project manager. Those start around like the $80,000 range at like a larger company. And the estimators and project managers make anywhere from like I'd say 100 to 150K. And then bonuses for those roles could be anywhere from like 10 to 20% of your salary. Did that touch on everything, Albert, or was there anything else that you wanted me to hit on?
No, that touches everything. That's fantastic. I love how it's so explicit and solid here. All right, Roberto.
Yeah, so I think I have been lucky enough in throughout my journey of this transition that I wanted to treat my employees as I was treated back in high tech. High tech, glamorous. They have the ping pong table, they have food delivered and all that stuff. You know, I am not able to do all that much, but I do appreciate each one of my employees, and I make sure that they're taken care of. All my employees have their medical benefits. My employees, they all have their PTO time, vacation time. They get bonuses, and they get also tips.
Hmm.
So my employees, and they get good money. I try to pay them well. That way, I can retain them. I can keep them with me because it's difficult to find. It's easy to find employees because you can pick them up from Home Depot. There's a lot of people there that can do the work, the labor. But if you find the right employees that can do the job and you don't have to worry about, and they can do it on their own, those people I want to retain. And those people are the ones that I hire and give them all these benefits. So right now we're a team of um, we're six right now. Um, we pull back from a team of eight before, but so this crew makes in between $25 and $35 an hour. Um, and I think for their role, I think it's well compensated because, like I said, they don't only make their money through by hourly; they also make their money by getting all these perks. They get snacks, they get water, they get to take to them to the field, right? Um, and we also take them out for drinks. We go out, we celebrate birthdays. We go out to see the Warriors games. We go out and watch the Quakes. So we have our Christmas party. We went to K1 car racing on December. We went out to eat Korean barbecue. So we have all these activities so they can feel comfortable, happy, and proud of where they work. Um, oh, I said I have been lucky enough because since I started the company, we've already passed the $3 million in revenue. So every year, from the beginning was very slow, And every year we have been growing a little bit until, COVID was a really big jump for us, and just the COVID year, I think year 2022, we did, and that was my second year working in the or having the company. I think we did 750,000 that year. And then the year after, we went up about 45% of that. So now we're about the same, because now it has settled a bit, the business. But it's been good. It's been good. And for that reason, I want to give back to them. At the same time, yeah, of course, I give myself my own salary, right? Back when I was in tech, um, I was I was about 130, when I left Dell, making about 130 a year. And then when I started my company, I did not make that much to start, but then throughout the years, I've been increasing my salary, and I think right now I should be making what maybe a software engineer would make at Google. So for me, it's a lot of pride to think that, I may have left the high tech because I knew that I had already hit a ceiling as far as my experience and my education, to continue to grow more as far as salary. At that point, when I left high tech, I needed to basically get maybe a master degree or any type of MBA management so that I can start making more money from where I was. So for me, I never really liked school, I never really liked college. And I'm sure that a lot of people would feel similar to me. Well, maybe a lot of people like it, but I wasn't really made for school and college. So I did it because I needed to do it for myself, right? And so I knew I didn't want to go back to college and get a master's degree or higher education, because I would got myself in so much debt, and second because it's just too much work, and then you need time too, right? So I said that was the best decision I could have made for myself, and I'm feeling that right now I'm making as much as what I hear software engineers at Google makes. It makes me really proud, and it makes me really feel like I've done something right. So like I said in the beginning, right? My fear was to lose, right? To fail, right? I feel that that's a sign for me to say that, at least you didn't fail as far as growing economically, right? And and I'm thankful for that because I had somebody looking up for me, and it helped me throughout this journey. And therefore, for that reason, I feel like I need to give back to my people, because these people is the ones that led me are where I am now. And so therefore I'm gonna give back to them. I'm not usually the type of person who talks about salary or how much you make, or I don't like to disclose that, to be honest. But I feel that what I'm saying right now is a lot of people are gonna hear it. And when you put numbers on things, that's when people realize, okay, this makes sense for me, or this doesn't make sense for me. I think if you pursue something that you're passionate about, that you think, well, hold on, you don't even need to be passionate about, because I wasn't passionate about epoxy in the beginning, right? But you find your passion as you put all your drive and your energy into something, and you start earning, and you start growing from it, and then you look back and you say, well worth it, well worth it. And so I'm happy to continue on, basically.
Love it. Love it. Jason obviously left at the top of the hour. He did answer my question over chat here. And so when he was talking about his restaurant, he says it depends on the month. So there's no fixed number. And you do have to buy your own healthcare. And restaurants are definitely seasonal. He says that during Lunar New Year, he's making double or triple the sales. And since it's during the winter when it's cold, he's doesn't make as he makes a lot more money because people are buying noodle soup and so forth. And he also has to deal with business costs. And by the way, I will be at his restaurant, Fell This Way, in San Jose tomorrow night. So if you want to come by and say
I would
hi,
I would join you. I'm in San Diego with my daughter's soccer. But
Uh,
next time,
yes,
if you, yeah, we'll try it again. If you
let's
want to
do
try it
it.
again, I join you.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we're gonna come out to the final two questions here. The one that I want to see is, and if we can answer this in sort of speed order, is if somebody is interested in joining your career today and doing what it is that you do, in let's say four sentences or less, how do you recommend they transition out of tech into where you're at? So, Roberto.
If somebody, okay, once again, if somebody is moving out of high tech, how will you, again?
How would they transition? Do they have to get education? Should they go and speak to a business?
Oh,
Can they come
no, no,
speak to you?
no.
Are you looking for interns? You know, that
Oh, I'm
kind of thing.
happy to. Yeah, I'm happy to help people. Of course, yeah. Send them my way. I'll do what I can do to help them. But what I would suggest basically is just do a lot of research. Uh, just have a vision, right? Have a vision on what you could be like in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years from that moment on. You know. Okay, that was longer than what you asked for, but
Hey, that
basically
works.
just yeah, just have a vision and put all your passion into it. Work really hard, and use all the energy you have inside you to make it work. Um, yeah, it's just that, and hopefully you will have found something that you enjoy doing for maybe all you need is just a year or two, and then maybe 3 years of doing that, then later on you can find other people who you can mentor, and they can learn what you do, and they can do it for you. At that moment, then you're gonna realize that things are working out, that you are in path to where you were envisioning at some moment. So yeah, just work hard and find people, find mentors, find people who can support you, who can keep you accountable of things, even if it's your own wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend, tell them what your dreams are, put them out there. You don't have to tell on social media, right? But you can tell somebody you trust, tell them, and that will keep you accountable for you to hit that goal. And that I think that helped me, because putting it out there, then you're on the record, with that person is going to
Love it.
remind you, and that person will also remind you if you do succeed. They'll let you know, hey, remember you talk about that, man, you're there, or you got it, and that's just, that's what you need somebody to make you feel accountable, and you'll get there.
Gosh, the energy from this panel tonight. I feel like everybody is a little happier after they left tech. Logan.
Try it. Yeah, no, give it a shot, Albert. Give it a shot. I'll teach you how to apply floors.
Yeah, I'll shadow you someday. That'll be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why
Let's
not?
do it. Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just taking the leap of faith. I think it's tough to like do something new, apply to a new kind of role. You know how to do one thing, you know you can do it. You know that's when you read job descriptions that's what makes sense for you, and so you're gonna apply to those things. Um, but if you've been struggling to find a job, I mean, you're dealing with the like tech has the most competition. I mean, from what I know, Albert could probably, say otherwise, but yeah, I mean, you're going against some of the most amazing candidates in the world trying to get these jobs in Silicon Valley. So, if you've worked in tech, you are a great candidate, and you just need to put yourself out there. And it's going to be weird applying to a different role, but um, yeah, I think, I think you just got to find your a role that works for you and for your skills. It's tough it's tough to say. It depends on obviously like the role in construction, what you'd want to go into. I have heard I think the biggest thing is trying to this is more general, less answering about construction, but um, figure out what aspects of roles you like, and then try to talk to people in different industries and hone in on that. Like, do you like organizing things? Do you like speaking with different people every day? Do you like making presentations internally? Do you like dealing with numbers? So find those things that you like, whether it's something you've done before or not, and then try to find a role that fits you. And I'm sure you could reach out to people, random people on LinkedIn, if you're interested in getting into the food industry or the clothing industry. You can just find random people and say, hey, I have a couple questions I want to ask. I'm looking to get into this industry, and spam add a couple people. I'm sure that you'd get some people that could help you out. So anyone looking to get into construction would be more than happy to help. But yeah, you just got to put yourself out there. I know it's a little scary, but um, there's no harm in doing it, really.
Awesome. Sandy.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Logan said and give more of a generalized answer because hats are very niche. So I think that Logan's really onto something, and I think one of the most important things to do is just take some stock about what are your skills and what are the things that you're pulled towards. Like, what are the things that bring this kind of energy that Albert was just talking that a lot of us have for these things that we're doing? Like, what brings that out of you? Because those are the things that when you meet people they're not going to be able to ignore. I mean, I literally walked up to a random booth wearing one of my hats and just was talking with them and got myself a job just actually both of my jobs, both my jewelry job and my hat job, I got just sheerly off of being this level of enthusiastic about the things that I create in my life. So being able to share those parts of who you are the things that make it possible to change industries and to say, hey, like I used to work in tech as a customer success manager, and that relationship management skill that I had, it's applicable everywhere. I work at Warby Parker. I have to relate to people instantly. And that's something that I got from tech. And so
Hmm.
being able to just take stock of the things that don't make you feel so like those are pointers towards where your some whatever it is that's inside of you wants to be pulled towards. And if you can begin to tune into those, it's like having your own internal compass pointing you towards north. Those are the parts of you that are trying to scream for attention, that are saying, hey, like I really get excited about X, Y, and Z. And how can I find that in some other arena? And then going about talking to the people that you know, talking to the people who know you is also really incredibly important. This most recent role that this full-time role that I'm going into, that's in a completely different industry, is purely because somebody who knows me from a past role that I had is like, Sandy is the person that you need, and I want you to meet her. And that's how I've gotten many of my jobs over the years, is just being that person that you really are and showing off your strengths, and not necessarily having to stand on top of the mountain and scream them out loud, but being the person that you are, those things that just can't be turned off. People see those and they want those aspects of you. So being able to show those is really important. And shameless plug, which I think I put in the chat too, this is a great time to work with a coach, to talk through these things and to learn about what are the, and to parse them apart and to have somebody help you uncover those directional points and to find your North Star. It's really important. So if anybody's out there and wants to talk more, please reach out. This is a very exciting time, and it's also a very scary time, and having somebody to soundboard off of is really helpful.
Love it. Natasha.
I don't have much to add to this. This is exactly it. So sometimes your hobbies is, I guess, a key to your success in a way. I have a
Hmm.
friend who was working in AI for me for many, many years. And she also had 4 dogs. And when we all got laid off, she would babysit the dogs. She would walk the dogs. Now she trains the dogs. And now she's one of the hottest people that everybody seeks out to train new puppies. Right. And that's her passion and that's her love. But, being in AI, being in IT, everything is automated. Scheduling is automated. There's AI messaging going everywhere. It's efficiency to the point, like I look at it and go, wow, you can take a small business and automate. So do not discount your high tech experience. It's super, super applicable to everything you do. But also, you don't have to look for other jobs in other industries if you're completely confused. Well, first of all, you can go to ChatGPT and say, this is what I like to do. What are the jobs? start there, like, and expand on it and see what you can find. But create your own world, create your own map, understand what you want to do. And if you're very handy and you like to make hats, by all means, right? I mean, there's always somebody else who can appreciate it. By the way, I need epoxy floors in my spa, so we need to talk about that. But
And
they're
I need
all
a new hat too. So
there you go.
definitely need to talk to you, Logan, as well.
But it's completely cool for anybody to reach out on LinkedIn and say, you know what, I really admire what you've done, and it looks like a cool thing. I would like to learn more. And I can guarantee you, 99.9% of people will reach out back and say, yes, let's talk. Because what I've gone through, I want to prevent somebody from all the mistakes I've done, and I'm happy to share it. And I'm happy to share what's the best way to start a business, how to do it, how to go to county, how to get permits, which I had never known myself if I had met somebody who shared that with me. So we're all here. We don't be shy. Just reach out. That's really kind of the way to do
Yeah,
it.
but those are like little battles that you conquer every day. It's like the little dose of dopamine you get every day because you don't know how to get a license. Then you get the license. Oh wow, I feel special. Next day is another challenge. Then you get over that challenge. Then you feel special, right?
It's like
So
playing an
that
RPG video game.
Yeah.
yes, it's very fulfilling, and
Yeah,
it's constant. So yeah,
I love it.
it's different than being an employee for a long time,
Mhm.
where you are following the team and the direction from your employer. It's not the same feeling that even if you do a successful transaction at work and everything works out and helps your team, it's not as fulfilling as being in trouble for or having an issue on your own work place of work, and then you get over it, and then everything goes well and things go back to normal. It's like it's a good feeling to be able to resolve those daily issues that you get thrown at, um, and then you're able to conquer each one of them. And like I said, it's like a dopamine trip. Every time it's like, yes, I did it. Yes, I did it. And then you move on. What's next? So they give me more because I need to receive more of that feeling.
And if you fail, it's a learning opportunity, right? You go,
Yes,
that didn't work. Do it a
Yeah,
different
yes.
way. There's nobody there that can fire you for that. So it's
And you're gonna fail a lot,
you fail a
so
lot.
be ready to
Absolutely.
fail. But as well as you fail, you also succeed. So
I love
that's
it. And you're actually going into my very, very last thing that I want to do is your final thoughts before we conclude. And as you give your final thoughts, I'm going to share your LinkedIn again, as well as your businesses so people can connect with you. So, Natasha, any final thoughts for the crowd tonight? Anything that you'd like to share that if they didn't learn anything tonight, something that they can take away?
I always remember the quote that it's better to regret what you have done than what you have never done. And,
Yeah,
and that's what I want to
love
leave.
that.
Try it. If you fail, you try something else. But if you live all your life and you never tried it, you always regret it.
I love it. I love it. Just as I was hyping in your business.
Yeah, so what I would add
I guess
to that is
Roberto, we'll just jump to you for a final thought. I think you're excited.
I have too much to share.
Yeah,
Um, no, but
go.
I like to let everybody participate too. But anyway, since you already gave me the the entrance, what I would say is basically find that thing. Find something that it doesn't have to be your passion. Just as long as you do something, and just like Sandy, it's niche. It's something niche nowadays with the power of technology, social media, and word of mouth out there. People will find out about you, and look also at your timing. Because, for example, I was forced. I had family. I have children at the time when I started my business. If you're still single and you're having thoughts about this, then this is the best time. Do it now. Get out, because when you're single, you don't require much, right? As far as financials, right? um I'm used to being in all situations, sleeping on the floor, um and for me it's no big deal. But if you have family and children, then it's more difficult to imagine that, right? So if you're single, or if you're in a situation where you have nothing that holds you, then this is your opportunity. Even if you like, I don't know, tic-tac-toe, just make something with tic-tac-toe. I don't know, you imagine the world is out there. Once you find it, then you'll be surprised how many people are like you and who are interested in what you're interested. And just the fact that people like you, um, like what you're doing and support you, then after that you'll get all the rewards, the money, you'll get the company, you'll get the business, because now you're doing something that you feel fulfillment for yourself. You get reassurance by the other people that are watching you and support you. Then you're gonna start making money because you'll figure it out, right? Because then um you do it right, and you got the right people following you and the support. So yeah, just go out there, find something, and go for it.
Awesome. All right, Sandy.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to leave you all with just be patient and give yourself some grace and some space to screw up and experiment and be open to what's out there, because I guarantee you I never had any idea that I was going to end up doing any of these things that I'm doing now. And so being open to the possibilities of what could be out there, and just know that none of this is going to happen overnight. Your career in tech didn't happen overnight. It took time, and the sky is the limit. And I wish you all well in figuring out where it is that you may be ending up outside of tech.
Love it. And Logan.
My final thought is how come Roberto and I are wearing hats and not Sandy? That's what I want to know.
Well, I saw your
Um,
hat coming off. You're not in the same situation as I am.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
so yeah, I think a lot of my friends that have been looking for jobs recently, I think they just, they have their mindset on what kind of job they want to do, and it's been a really tough job market, and they've been struggling to find things. And thanks, Todd. But like, there's nothing wrong with getting a like job, like a bridge job, like working at Starbucks or doing something like that. My friend just worked at a rock climbing gym, but I know this is a really stressful time. It's a mentally taxing time to be looking for a job, and just do something that gets you some financial security, in between. And my friend obviously likes rock climbing, worked at a rock climbing gym, but made a bunch of friends and just really enjoyed having a new kind of social circle and going into work where you kind of just go in, you do your tasks for the day and you leave, not a lot of stress. And it was just a really nice change up for him. So, and similar to what Sandy has said, if you do have a hobby or something you can maybe do as a side hustle, like now is a great time to do that. But um, I'm not as creative as you, Sandy, and maybe I'd say I'm guessing most of us in here aren't. And it's really hard. Like I think I have a lot of skills, but I don't have anything I would really do as a side hustle. So I think, that's tougher for a lot of people to do, but find something to occupy your time, right now, make a little bit of money on the side, and you never know who you meet along the way.
I love it. And actually, that wasn't the last question. All four of you, if you can actually state, are you also hiring, for anybody, for, maybe folks who on this might be interested in learning more and maybe making their transition with you? So this can be popcorn style. Looks like Roberto is.
Yeah,
Logan?
I'm looking for sales and social media support.
I love it.
That's basically what I need. Sales. I need a good salesperson. I am done doing the sales. I'm doing all my sales. So I need somebody to mentor me first, and also to take over our sales. Yeah. I'm not good at sales, but I'm willing to learn.
Love it. Anyone else?
I'm not hiring, but I am open to speaking opportunities, and I'm taking on coaching clients still. So if anybody's interested in that, those do exist, but the hat business is a little tight right now.
Perfect. Logan, can we join you on the construction site?
Yeah, I'm currently hiring a field role. It's a gas surveyor, so basically be doing a lot of walking through various gas systems, performing gas leak detection. I, similar to Roberto, I am interested in potentially a part-time marketing person or social media. Maybe we could team up there if you don't need someone full-time. But
I
yeah,
love
maybe
it.
someone to work with me occasionally, or someone who's, maybe in the marketing industry could do a little bit for me in between jobs. If so, I know I'll put my website in there, but all the way at the bottom, you can find an email. Feel free to email me your resume and a paragraph about yourself. But those are the two roles I'm hiring for now, and we'll be hiring a project manager in the future, someone with ample construction experience in that one.
Love it. And Natasha, can we come to the spa and relax and get paid?
You can definitely come to the spa and relax. We're not hiring anybody right now, but we are looking to expand and open that location pretty soon. So that's going to be finding, yeah, thank you.
Exciting.
Finding people to help us do the operations, the marketing, the sales, all that. But you are welcome. If you're stressed and you have anxiety and you need a quick fix, come see us. Absolutely. We're in Redwood City, very close, right across the Meta.
Wonderful. Well, there you go. You stay to the very end, you learn about hiring opportunities. And so, with that, I want to thank all of you, Natasha, Sandy, Logan, and Roberto, for joining us today. I am very, very grateful that you've come to share your story. I hope and I know that many of the attendees here are very grateful as well in this tough, crazy, uncertain time where everything in tech seems to be falling apart and who knows what the light at the end of the tunnel is. And so, uh, for all of those of you who are watching, the contact information and the websites for these businesses are all in the webinar chat. I invite you to go and take a look, see if these industries are for you, see if you'd like to learn more. And we also have a lot of other events here on Albert's list as well. If you're looking to build a side hustle, if you're looking to kick off your year with a job search boot camp, looking to understand the state of the economy, or wanting to learn AI, we have all of that as well if you want to stay in tech. And so I want to invite you to come check that out too. So, we're here Thursday, January 16th. It's the beginning of the year. You have an entire year to write it the way you want. And hopefully, the five individuals that you heard today can inspire you to move towards the energy, the outcomes, the money, the happiness that you've been desiring maybe for a while now, or maybe just discovered on tonight's webinar that you want to see more of. So, again, thank you all for joining us, both speakers and panelists. We'll see you all very soon on a future Albert's List webinar, and I wish you a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend ahead. All right, bye everybody. We'll see you
Bye,
soon.
everybody. Thanks. So nice to meet you all.